Ahora me ves.
Sí,
Ok, so tú eres el que tienes que saber la historia.
sí,
Yo, yo le cuento. Ok. On December, on January the 3rd, 1961,
sí.
I flew in our airplane, because we owned an airplane at that time,
Ujú.
from my hometown to the farm. When I landed at the farm, something unusual happened. The foreman of the farm was at the end of the runway in his pickup truck, something that was unusual. He never, drove over the landing strip. So when I got down there, he told me the army was here. Castro was in power already. The army was here. They broke the doors of your room. They took your guns. They broke the door of your father's room, and they took the guns. And worse than that, they took two 55-gallon drums of aviation gasoline that I have in the hangar. They took it too. Yeah. Well, they took from us $500,000 in machinery only. So at that, with the prices at that time, today it would be, I don't know, $1.5 million. So what I did, I flew back to Santa Clara, my hometown, and talked to a friend, gave him the key of the airplane, and moved to Havana, real fast. I had friends who introduced me to the chief of the desk of Pan American in downtown Havana. And he asked me, when do you want to go? And I said, yesterday. Next morning, I went to the airport. I didn't have a reservation. I didn't have just the tickets. I didn't have nothing. Just showed to the airport. Says, just be there. You will get in that airplane. So the first airplane come, a DC-7. It was a lot of fog in Havana that day. So we flew over Havana and get back to Miami. He didn't land. So I went to this guy again and talked to him and says, you're going in the next airplane, which will land here at 10 o'clock. So, he landed, I got into the airplane. We carried 11 suitcases, which that happened because already it was a conspiracy between the custom agents, the immigration agents, and the Pan American Bureau in Havana. They were taking people out of Cuba, people from immigration, and a couple of guys from customs. All of them had to run away out of Cuba because the whole scene uncovered that there was this way of getting out of Cuba.
Oh my gosh, how many days was that after you left?
Well, I would say about 30 days. About
Oh my
30
gosh,
days.
so had they waited to the 31st day,
Yeah.
that way of getting out would have been gone.
I landed in Miami. A few days go by, and there is a political meeting for the liberation of Cuba in Miami Bayfront Park. So he already was born. So we went there. A lot of Cubans in that that area. And when you go to in a group of people like that, you start looking at people around you to see. All of a sudden, I found a face that I remember clearly who this guy was. And this was the guy. You were supposed to open all the suitcases before you leave. And this guy was the one who was supposed to inspect the 11 suitcases. And when I was with him on the tarmac to open the suitcases, he looks toward the building where I came from, and he see the chief of the desk of Pan American in Havana standing in the middle of the door. He asked me, do you know that guy? I said, yes, I know him. He said, okay, no problem. So he took all the stickers without opening one single case, and he
Hey, so there was a bit more to that story, and we missed it because the computer stopped recording for some reason. Um, well, my grandfather had a friend back in Cuba who he helped buy a plane. And at that time in Cuba, there were no compasses in planes, and no compasses in any mobile vehicle. They ripped them out so that people wouldn't know which way to go to Florida. So this friend of his had very little flight experience, and he didn't really know how to make it over to Florida. And so, in the days before my grandfather left Cuba, he talked to this guy, and he said, "Well, we'll have you take off in the morning, and so you'll see on the east is the sun, like just all day, just keep your right wing pointed east, and you'll either hit Florida or one of the Keys." But the guy was impatient. And at the beginning, he did what he was told to do, and he did it well. He kept his right wing pointed, towards the sun the entire time. His co-pilot was the friend who had taught him how to fly. And the guy gets impatient, and he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't have any landmarks to point off of. But soon enough, he does see one of the Florida Keys, and he tries to land on it, but he undershoots it. He doesn't overshoot it. He falls into the water. The plane was fine, and he was fine. Well, it crashed, so the plane was dead, but he was fine. And his friend jumps out of the plane, and the guy stays in the plane, and eventually he walks out. And he grabs onto the plane, and the plane's covered in fabric, like most planes from the 1940s and 50s. But the guy doesn't know how to swim. And he's in serious shock. He is scared out of his mind. And he's in the ocean. His friend, well, at this point he's dug his hands into the plane, which is problem number one. Number two, his friend does try and save him, and he literally punches the guy. He just hits, kicks, whatever he can do to get the guy off the plane, but the guy won't get off the plane. And with his hands stuck in the plane, and he doesn't know how to swim, he sank with the plane, and that was a friend of my grandfather's. And until maybe about a year later, he had no idea that this has happened. But yeah, I'll keep on posting notes. I'm going to be writing a book out of this, and my other side of the family's escape from Cuba. Yeah. Have a good night.